Hello and welcome back to the Great Lakes Truck Series. Here we are on Tuesday night at Nashville Superspeedway, and Alex is joining me in the booth tonight. Alex, how we doing?
Doing all right. Haven't had an opportunity to check in on the trucks so far this year, so I'm excited to get into this series again.
Great to have Alex Kolinix back in the booth here for the Truck Series. It's gonna be a blast out there, Alex. We got a full field here at Nashville Superspeedway, a track that really relies on tires. What are you expecting out there tonight?
I'm expecting, because we're dealing with trucks around here compared to when I covered the Premier Series here at the Xfinity cars,
We might have lost Alex there for a second. Mike might have cut off there for a moment. Or it looks like drivers are beginning to grid up for the green flag here. It looks like on the pole for tonight's race, we're going to end up having Bobby Carter ended up putting down a lap near the end of qualifying to beat out William Barbagelato for the pole. Some good drivers up here in the front. Alex, you got me? Okay. Well, we're going to continue on while we try to figure out Alex's difficulties. These drivers are about to pull off pit road, and we're going to go green flag racing here in around 1 lap, 150 laps here at Nashville Superspeedway. A very fun track, new to the iRacing service, fairly new to the iRacing service here, Nashville Superspeedway. A lot of these drivers are going to be really trying to save those tires for later on in the run here. This is just one of those tracks where it just eats up tires, just eats them up. So I can see a driver like maybe Elliot Henderson or Jake Miller or Ashton Lawson possibly really having a lot of success. Maybe Shane Neiswanger as well, coming off of his victory last week on the dirt. He's starting in the 8th position. There you see it on your screen. The grid will be rolling on the bottom of your screen. Some heavy hitters in the field. Very strong field. And some of those drivers are starting near the back of the pack actually tonight. Let's see, we got Matt Durr back in 20th, Eric Keff back in 21st. We got Gavin Fitzgerald all the way back in 32nd. Tyler McClellan back there in 34th. We know he has a lot of speed. Some good drivers back here. Nick Martin starting dead last. Nick Martin has been a very quick driver this season, been a top 10, top 15 driver. Drivers now pulling on to the track, and we are going to go green flag racing this time by at Nashville Superspeedway for the Patti Engineering 200 in the Great Lakes Truck Series. Elliot Henderson will lead him down, and then number 37 machine on the inside. On his outside is William Barbagelata. Right behind him in row number 2 in the 3rd position, you have RJ Williams. Then on his outside, you have the number 40 of Nathan Nicholson. Drivers coming through 3 and 4 as the pace truck is about to pull off. We're going to go green flag racing here at Nashville Superspeedway here. Pace truck pulling off. Oh, wait, no. Lights are back actually on the pace car. Looks like we're going to actually do 2 laps around this racetrack. And since we have the extra time, just to go over some stuff, because we weren't able to really cover the points too much as they were getting updated right when the broadcast was ending last week. Coming into this race, Zachary Henry is your points leader. Henry having a strong beginning portion of the season in the number 12 machine. Tonight he is starting in the 14th spot. Then right behind him, only 3 points back, is Chris Heller. Chris Heller has had a very strong last whole year, really, in the Great Lakes Series. He's been very strong. Won 2 championships, one in the Cup Series, now known as the Premier Series, and one in the Winter League. Heller has been on a tear, and he continues it here in the Truck Series, but can he snag his first win of the Truck Series season here today? Christopher Heller starting in the 11th position, of course, in the number 11 machine for 2511 Racing. He'll be starting next to his teammate, actually, Jordan Gonzalez. Jordan Gonzalez is 4th in points, actually, coming into this race. He's had a very strong start to the season, very impressive start for Mr. Gonzalez. And let's see if he can keep it up in this race here at Nashville Superspeedway. Now I think the pace truck will be pulling off as it comes down pit road. Elliot Henderson in the 37 is going to lead him to the green flag as it's waving in the air here at Nashville Superspeedway for 200 miles. Good start there from the number 37 of Elliot Henderson. Barbagelata drops into the 2nd spot, and Nicholson and Williams still battling it out for 3rd. Barbagelata going to go to the inside of Henderson going into 3 and 4. He wants to lead lap number 1 of this thing. Here comes William Barbagelata, a.k.a. Mr. Excitement, looking to lead lap number 1. It's going to be a close battle to the line. Henderson's going to get the run off the corner, and Barbagelata leads lap number 1, it looked like. Very close at the line. William Barbagelata leading lap number 1 in that Interstate Batteries Ford. Henderson's going to drop into the 2nd spot right in front of RJ Williams. RJ Williams in 3rd. Josh Caudle. Josh Caudle making an appearance here tonight in that number 32 machine. He's up here in 4th. From his appearances over here in the Great Lakes Series, he performs very well at tracks like this. Short tracks and tracks that really rely on tires. He's very strong at these sort of tracks. Let's see what he can do here. The number 32 machine. There's the onboard camera of Josh Caudle as he's actually following his teammate, RJ Williams, right here. These two work together quite a bit on the iRacing service. Let's see what they can do here. RJ Williams pressuring Henderson as Barbagelata is actually beginning to put a little distance. Oh, and there's contact back there. Very heavy contact, and he's able to continue on there on the inside. I can't make out who that is in that all-white machine, but he is falling back very, very fast on the inside. Looks to be having possibly a lag issue. Looks to be Michael Sensi in the number 92 machine. Oh, there's contact! The 69! Looks like Matthew Durr is in the wall. Jacob Hayes. Yeah, that's the number 2 of Matthew Durr up into the wall. Wow. Some early action here. Drivers trying to get it together now. Almost contact here right behind Sensi now between Kingcott and it looked like Hayes on his outside. They're able to keep it straight. Very heavy battling here around the 25th to 30th position right here. And Sensi's going to get all the way out of the way, all the way out of the groove, and there's contact underneath. Great save from Daniels. Matt Daniels in the Walmart machine, able to keep it straight. Definitely some chatter going on the radio. A lot of aggression going on here near the back of the pack very early on in the race. It's a very long race and a track that's really hard to survive here. These drivers need to do exactly that, survive and be there at the finish. There you see Daniels making the move on DuPont. He's going to pass him on the inside, and there's contact. And DuPont's going to get sent up the track. That's going to open up the door for Wattler. Here comes Bowen in the 76 right behind. Not really missing anything up front for the most part. Oh, right when I say that, here comes RJ Williams. He's going to send it on the inside of William Barbagelata for the race lead. The number 21 of RJ Williams on the inside trying to take the race lead with Caudle right in behind him. Barbagelata not able to get the run off the corner. Did not have a very good exit of turns 1 and 2. Almost got up into the wall, and Williams is going to be able to complete the pass going into 1 and 2. He's going to be able to jump right in front of him, and now Caudle's on the attack. He's on the attack of William Barbagelata for the second spot. RJ Williams looking in his mirror, trying to maybe gap these drivers as Caudle sends it into 1 and 2. Looking to clear Barbagelata on the exit. Can he clear him? He will. Mr. Excitement falls in behind into the third spot. Driver that's been on the move the last couple of laps I've been watching is that 0-1 of Robert Kenny. He's been on the move. Here he comes. You see him right there on your screen, right behind Elliot Henderson, that 0-1 machine. Has a decent amount of speed here early. I'm just wondering what he might be doing to those tires. He's really driving down Henderson pretty quick. Henderson, a driver that's well known for saving his tires and having that long run speed. So I'm curious to see how Kenny's tires might look later on in this run if we're able to get a full run here without any caution flags. Right behind him, you see Nathan Nicholson in the 40. You got Ashton Lawson in the 7th spot in the number 24. You got Daniel Nanny in 8th. Jordan Gonzalez in 9th. And Chris Heller and Zach Henry in a pretty decent battle here with Nicewanger around the 10th position. This is 10th, 11th, and 12th right here under a blanket. Heller's going to try to maybe put some distance between himself and Henry. Hunter Brittle right in there behind him with Lewis Woodall right on his bumper coming off 1 and 2. Here comes Woodall. He's going to send it into 3 and 4. Thinks better of it. Austin Moore, here's his onboard camera. It looks like he gave Woodall a little bump right there almost. Able to keep it straight as they're going to battle in right behind him now. Number 4 of Miller and Cremines looking to be battling it out now. This has been a rare occasion for Miller. Miller not too strong in practice and qualifying. Here early on in this race, he's been making some moves, been making up some spots, but not moving up through the field as quick as would be expected out of Jake Miller, one of the best drivers, if not the best driver here in the Great Lakes Racing Series. Jumps up to the high side, Mr. Pink. Eric Kep's going to get to the inside. Eric Kep's been on the move here early on in the race, too. He's already moved up a couple of spots since the start of the race. And here comes Hunter Madalinas as well. Hunter Madalinas, last year's win total champion, essentially, in that number 9 machine. He's trying to get up here. A lot of good battles going on throughout the pack at the moment. Not missing anything up front. RJ Williams has gapped Caudle by around a half a second, and Caudle has gapped Barbagelata by around a half a second. Here's Austin Moore and Cremines still battling it out for the position. This is a battle for 15th right here. Frederick Cremines and Austin Moore. Jake Miller wants a little piece of this battle. He's looking for someone to clear someone so he can make a move. Miller going to go to the high side of Moore here, it looks like. He's going to try to, at least. Moore going to the inside of Cremines off the corner. Cremines did not get off 3 and 4 very good at all. And opened up the door for Austin Moore to jump to the inside, and then NOS Energy number 91. See it there throughout the pack. Some very good racing going on throughout the pack here at Nashville Superspeedway for the Great Lakes Truck Series, the Patti Engineering 200. Some very good racing going on here. You see it here with Austin Moore and Frederick Cremines as they continue to battle it out here for the 15th position. Jake Miller still not able to find a spot to go to right now, with Madalinas now right on his bumper. Madalinas has a lot of speed here early. He's been the driver. He's probably been the quickest driver at the beginning of the race, that number 9 machine. He's going to get to the inside of Miller here. Austin Moore and Cremines still neck and neck, with Madalinas now putting on the pressure in the number 9 machine. Not able to clear one another. This is just an intense battle between the 50 and the number 91 here. They just cannot clear each other here. Just keep on going back and forth. Front, a little change of position. Elliot Henderson's been the driver kind of on the move at the front of the pack right now. Moved up in front of Barbagelata a couple laps ago, 2 or 3 laps ago, in that number 37 machine. Now he's setting his sights on Josh Caudle. That last time around, Elliot Henderson was the quickest driver in the top 10 by a whole 10th, except for Daniel Nanny. Daniel Nanny had the exact same lap time as he did in the number 30 machine. Henderson, like I said earlier, one of those drivers that's just super strong on the longer runs, just really knows how to save his tires and work the track. The number 37 of Bobby Carter is trying to drive down to the top 2 of Caudle and Williams, who are putting on a really good show at the moment in the number 21 and 32, looking very strong early. Henderson looking to spoil the show for those two here very soon. There you see Josh Caudle in the 32 making an appearance tonight. Haven't seen Caudle out here for a while. He's a very quick race car driver, especially at short tracks and tracks like this that really rely on the longer runs and saving tires. Putting on a good performance here early in the 2nd spot behind RJ Williams. There you see Mr. Williams in the number 21 machine. He's holding the race lead. He's been leading for around the last 10 laps in the number 21 machine. And I think we have Alex back in the booth. Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, we are back, Kyle. Had some technical difficulties. Thank you, Microsoft. But we are back indeed into the race, and I see 2 of these short track drivers right out front of the field, as I was kind of expecting to see tonight, and our pole sitter Elliot Henderson holding his own out front. Those are the 3 drivers I definitely looked at today to be very, very strong.
These drivers looking very, very strong very early. Here you see on your screen Daniel Nanny battling it out with Robert Kenny. Robert Kenny's been falling back the last couple laps. I was saying it a couple laps ago. He was really moving very quick at the beginning portion of that run, and now he's really beginning to drop in that number 01 machine. Put down the slowest lap in the top 10 by around a 10th and a half that last time by. So Robert Kenny in the 01 is definitely struggling. And then here you see Jordan Gonzalez, who seems to have a decent amount of speed right now, trying to get past Nicholson, who's also fallen off in the number 40 machine, falling into the clutches of these 2 2511 drivers of Gonzalez and Heller here, Alex.
Yeah, it's a big matter as we're getting towards this 20 to 25 lap portion of this race. You start to see the tires start to flip around on the guys who really treated them well early on and the guys who pushed it way too hard. And we're seeing a few instances of these drivers pushing it too hard as we're watching this tough battle between Robert Kenny and Daniel Nanny here. Daniel
Nanny just not quite able to clear him off the corner. the second straight time. He just came so close to clearing him. He's getting a little frustrated. Pushes Kenny up the racetrack. I don't think they made contact, but I know the 0-1 felt a little crowded right there and got himself up into the wall. Very heavy contact to the right side of Robert Kenny. We'll have to see how that damage affects him as this run continues on.
Yeah, that'll definitely hurt him a big chunk, as he's already getting passed by Nicholson now because of that damage, I would imagine. Because you get that right side damage, you're carrying all this speed through these corners, it really, really hurts the truck and will likely make it really, really loose depending on whether it's in the back or in the front of the car. And I think I'm starting to see a pass towards the front of the field for a second position. Elliot Henderson inside of Josh Caudle for the second spot.
Henderson making the move on Caudle in the number 37 machine. He's been one of the quickest drivers on the track here in the longer run. Driver that's really been on the move. You see him in that 24 machine. He wasn't even close to these drivers a couple laps ago. Now he's right there. The number 24 of Ashton Lawson, the Season 4 champion. There you see his onboard camera as he's watching this intense battle in front of him as Henderson's trying to clear Caudle, and Barbagelata watching on in the number 27 machine.
Barbagelata's just waiting for this to sort out for him, as around the outside there, Josh Caudle's going to be using a lot more tire and he's going to be struggling a lot harder. Ashton Lawson loves to see this because it just means two drivers have to work over this driver in front, and he's going to have a really easy pass by the time that Josh Caudle falls back to him. So Ashton Lawson is in a great spot right now.
The driver that really enjoyed all that battling was RJ Williams. I think he was around a second in front of second place Josh Caudle and Elliot Henderson before that battle started. Now he's over 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds in front of Elliot Henderson.
Yeah, RJ Williams
Been running really, really consistent laps so far. He's been doing a great job at keeping that race car out front. And he's got the advantage of that clean air going through the corners. So he's been able to run out front, not really use up his tires at all. So he's doing a fantastic job and clearly showing his short track experience, being able to manage the brakes and the throttle around these very tough 1.33 mile corners.
Intense battling going on for the 10th spot right now between Zach Henry and Niswanger. Almost contact going through 1 and 2, and they're battling still pretty hard going down the back straightaway with Robert Kenny right in behind them with Jake Miller as well. Niswanger clear him off the corner, not quite. Oh, Kenny's in the wall again, almost makes contact with Miller on his inside, and Woodall and Madalinas avoid him. They're going to split him, one to the inside, one to the outside. Madalinas has to back it off going into the corner.
Oh, big contact from Robert Kenny to the back of Lewis Woodall. That was really sketchy there into turn 1, and Robert Kenny's race is just starting to fall apart with that contact up against the wall 2 times now. That's going to massively injure the performance of that truck.
Ever since after the first 10 laps, he was probably one of the quickest drivers in the first 10 laps. Ever since then, he's just really fallen off in that 0-1 machine and has faced some troubles and difficulties. He's dropped from the 5th position all the way down to 16th.
It's a definite fall from grace there for Robert Kenny. But there is a little bit of scuffling up towards the front. I saw Ashton Lawson finally get by Josh Caudle around the outside. Now Barbagelata's up the inside of Josh Caudle. Josh Caudle's on a trip down the order because he's been stuck around the outside, hasn't found a way to slot himself back in, and seems to have used up the tire a good bit early on in this run.
Caudle falling off a little bit here in the later portions of the run. Barbagelata able to clear him coming out of 2. Moves up into the 4th spot in the number 27 machine. What does Daniel Nanny do now? Does he maybe try to send the move on Caudle? Or will Caudle be able to hold on to his spot right there in 32 machine?
This is key for Daniel Nanny because he caught up all that time from all that scuffling with the other drivers between them and Josh Caudle. So he has to try and get by him as quickly as possible, as he does it right here with a very clean pass to turns 1 and 2. Seemed to be no contention on the outside from Josh Caudle. See if he takes it to the inside. No, he's just going to push him down the back straightaway. That's going to allow Daniel Nanny to get through turns 3 and 4 without much time lost.
Nanny able to make the pass pretty cleanly right there in the number 30 machine. Now he sets his sights on Barbagelata. Manny up into the top 5 for the first time today. Pretty quiet throughout the field right now. There is a battle going on between Henry and Miller right there. You see it right there around the 12th position. They're battling pretty decent right there. Henry's been on a little bit of a fall the last couple of laps. Niswanger was able to get past him, and now Miller's trying to complete the pass on the outside nonetheless.
In the case of Jake Miller, I mean, he was very fast in practice, actually our fastest driver in terms of lap time in practice. Didn't really qualify as well as I expected him to, and has been very slow to making his way up the field. I mean, that could be a strategy call just to keep the tires nice and cool so later on in the run he could charge forward, or maybe he's just been struggling on that longer run pace.
Miller's been moving through the field slowly but surely. Hasn't been really flying through the field like we would usually expect it to. I touched on it a little bit earlier. But usually when Jake Miller qualifies poorly or doesn't qualify at all, he just drives through the field immediately. And we haven't really seen that today. He's making moves, but not driving through the field as quick as is expected. And he continues to fall here. Now he's back to the 19th position as Tellier and look like Austin Moore in the number 91 machine, both able to get past him.
Yeah, I mean, in the case of Robert Kenny, he's just, right now, it's just a survival race for him. He's got to really hope that a lot of other trucks receive a good amount of damage because he's going to really struggle on pace for the rest of this race. So, sadly, his fantastic qualifying performance finding a way into the 5th position has gone completely undone in the last 30 laps.
We're going to have a battle for second here momentarily. Ashton Lawson has caught up to Elliot Henderson in the number 24 machine. He's right there. Run a truck length and a half back of the number 37 machine. Both these drivers are right now putting down better lap times than RJ Williams, so they can catch up to RJ Williams in the next couple of laps if they keep up this pace. Right now, they're only 1.2 seconds back of RJ Williams. A couple laps ago, they were 2.2 seconds back, so they're making up time.
Yeah, and Ashton Lawson had to pass Barbagelata earlier to even get into this position. They really gapped out the field, as I'm seeing. Looks like the 26 with some issues on the front straightaway. He's got a lot of right side damage. Looks like he possibly hit the wall really hard off turn 4. That's simply the inside grass.
Roman Gephardt has some pretty decent damage on the number 26 machine. I'll try to get you a review on that incident for the number 26. And yeah, right here, it just comes off the corner and just smacks the wall. Tries to save it, goes down to the inside, able to actually, barely touches the grass, but for the most part, able to keep it out of the grass, looking like he's just trying to get out of everybody's way right there in the number 26 machine.
Other drivers having problems today. There's a couple drivers we've seen, Robert Kenny and now the 26 of Roman Gephardt. Both drivers having some serious problems here on the racetrack. Seems to be really, really difficult there off turn 4, as many drivers have gotten quite close to the inside walls. I'm seeing a pass the second spot. Here he is, Ashton Lawson making the move on Elliot Henderson. He's going to battle and hold it around the outside here at a turn 4. Elliot's going to have a pretty decent run coming off, but it looks like Ashton Lawson was able to get to the throttle a lot harder. Both these drivers are now just within a second of the leader, even while battling. So they're really fast, and also they're battling very hard. Ashton Lawson tries to send it, not enough. Elliot Henderson holds it around the outside, but is going to lose it on corner exit. Ashton Lawson up to second.
And Lawson sliding up the track right there was able to force Henderson off his line for a moment and really hurt his exit speed. And the 24 was able to complete the pass there. Now he's going to set his sights on RJ Williams. These drivers are only 9/10 back of RJ Williams. Ashton Lawson and Elliot Henderson continue to make up time on the number 21 machine.
Yeah, and even with them battling, Ashton Lawson just ran a full 10th faster than RJ Williams out front. So Ashton Lawson's done a fantastic job from that 10th starting position to really manage those tires for this longer run, as he's had some pretty phenomenal pace in the back half of this stint.
Lawson has definitely looked impressive as he's already gapping the number 37 of Elliot Henderson. I'm thinking we're probably going to get some pit stops here soon, I'm thinking.
I'm hearing a good chunk of drivers coming in further towards the back of the field. Gavin Fitzgerald, Bronson Stafford, Tellier, Eric Keff. Good number of drivers back here making their first pit stop, which pretty much opens up the door for all these other drivers to make a pit stop soon. But from what I saw last time the Premier Series was here at Nashville, it looked to be that the advantage was to try and stay out as long as you could and make up all the time on fresher tires over the run.
R.J. Williams, race leader. Race leader comes down pit road, the number 21 machine here to make his pit stop. And I think you're right on that, Alex. We've noticed that. That's been a trend in the Great Lakes Series, whether it's the Truck Series or the Premier Series. If you pit later on in the run, it tends to reward you. You'll have those fresher tires throughout most of the run. And you'll be able to drive them right down and pass the drivers that pit before you on most occasions.
I'm seeing also Ashton Lawson, who inherited the lead coming down the pit lane. Now that leaves Elliot Henderson, the last driver of those front few, to stay out. Looks like Daniel Lanny also stayed out. So now we're having a bunch of split strategies here. I'm a little bit worried about R.J. Williams because he could have held the lead for a little bit longer before pitting. Now he's going to be on a slight disadvantage on tires, but he's going to have to try and manage the tires better on the second stint if he wants to try and stay out front, because he was getting caught really fast by Ashton Lawson behind as we're seeing Elliot Henderson coming to the pit lane.
I expected Henderson to come down that time by. Henderson made it big last season off doing that exact strategy. The drivers that he's battling, he'd either wait 1 lap or 2 laps after they pit, and he'll come down and get his fresh tires. He made it big off of that last year and in a lot of races that he's won in Great Lakes competition, and he's going to try to continue to do it today, as now Nathan Nicholson leads the field.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to look at the gaps between a couple of drivers that pit. R.J. Williams has about looks like just over 1 second gap on Ashton Lawson behind.
So he came out with a bit of an advantage, but it looks like traffic. I'm just checking on R.J. Williams. Now Ashton Lawson's right on his back bumper as they both pass Elliot Henderson, who's coming off the pit lane now. Seems like some big troubles with a bunch of trucks coming into the pit lane at the same time as R.J. Williams rounding turn 4. That allowed Ashton Lawson to catch up very fast.
Here comes Hunter Madalinas and Zach Henry down pit road. They're going to be neck and neck coming to the entrance to pit road. Here you see Barbagelata and Henderson battling it out. Christopher Heller still on the racetrack. He's currently your race leader in the number 11 machine.
Great battle here for what will be the third position between Elliot Henderson and Barbagelata. These two have been side by side for the last lap. Looks like Elliot Henderson's going to have the advantage into 3. He'll take the spot as he pit a little bit later than Barbagelata. So good move for Elliot to get by him, and now he's got to run down Ashton Lawson, who was not successfully able to get by R.J. Williams yet.
This is going to be an interesting run here. R.J. Williams was the first driver to come down pit road out of these 3 drivers, that being Williams, Lawson, and Henderson. And Henderson was the last one to come down pit road, so we'll have to see how this works out.
And he's about 2 seconds behind Ashton Lawson and doesn't seem to have the advantage that Lawson did of being able to have lap cars close up that gap a good bit. You know, Lawson was pretty lucky with that situation. Now Elliot's just going to have to use up his tire trying to run up on these guys. Caution is out!
Oh, man. Caution is out on the speedway. And not a very big surprise. The race leader is actually Ross Brockman, the number 52. Looking to see what the caution may be for. But yeah, Ross Brockman has done this strategy before, and it's won him a race before in that 52 machine. So not too surprised to see him be the only driver that has yet to make his green flag pit stop and inherit the race lead here underneath the first caution flag.
And that was such a crucial loss for the case of Christopher Heller, as he just came in and lost all those positions. Now, instead of being out front with the tire, he's going to be further back in the pack. But we could see some drivers try and come into the pit lane to get a tire advantage.
Looked like the caution may have came out here for Rod Fosnow in the number 16 machine. It looked like he may have lost it trying to come down pit road in the number 16 machine. Our Daytona winner here. We're going to get the replay right here for you. Rod Fosnow in the number 16 machine in that city machine comes off 3 and 4 and tries to get down pit road, but he has 2 tires on the banking and then 2 tires on the flat and hits the brakes and the truck just kind of gets stuck almost on there and just is unable to turn and locks up the brakes and spins right there on the track, and the caution comes out. Caution number 1 here, a third of the way through the race.
Yeah, and that's crucial for the strategy of all these guys, because now Elliot Henderson, who pitted later, rather than having to run down the gap himself, is right on top of these drivers once again. So now all that advantage that you had on track position for RJ Williams and Ashton Lawson has immediately been closed up because of this caution. And then for people like Christopher Heller and now Ross Brockman, who have newer tires, thanks to the caution time, they're not going to have to pit, and they'll have brand new tires, but they'll have to come from the back.
Definitely an interesting sequence of events here at Nashville Superspeedway here for the Patti Engineering 200. RJ Williams now back in the race lead in the number 21 machine. Ashton Lawson in second. Elliot Henderson in third. William Barbagellata in fourth. Josh Caudle in fifth. That is your top 5. You have Daniel Nanny in sixth. Jordan Gonzalez in seventh. Shane Neiswanger in eighth. Nathan Nicholson in ninth. And Eric Kep has entered the top 10 in the number 63 machine.
And I am checking up on some of the tire lives on some of these other drivers, and of the top 10, it looks like the newest tires is on Nathan Nicholson, who only has about 3 laps on the tires. So he pit way later than most of these other drivers in the top 10 and had some pretty decent pace on the last stint, so I expect him to make up some good spots on this restart.
Yeah, Nathan Nicholson ran that last run different than I think anybody else did. He was one of those drivers that was fairly quick at the beginning portion of the run, kind of like Robert Kenny, but around maybe 8 or 9 laps in, he's really backed down his pace and started to lose some spots. I think he was really trying to cool down those tires. And you saw it at the end of the run before we got the caution flag and right before we started pit stops. He was coming on pretty hard there at the end of the run there, Alex.
Yeah, and that's going to be a massive thing is, even though he did come on really hard at the end of the run, it was a little too late by that point in the run, as everybody was starting to come into the pit lane for their fuel stops. So he's going to have to try and use up a little bit more tire a little bit earlier to try and close up that gap before that portion of the run so that he's not wasting whatever extra tire he has left on the car.
One thing I would be really curious about is the fuel strategy potentially with this race, because right now they're on lap round 51 here. It looked like they were only able to go around 45, 46 laps on a tank of fuel. If we're able to get maybe another quick caution here, we possibly see some drivers maybe try to top off and maybe try to go the distance on one more stop.
I mean, that could be a bit of a possibility, but we're going to have to see a well-timed yellow for that to occur, because as of right now, these drivers are not going to make it far enough to just do one more stop. So we're going to need a caution within the next about 10 to 15 laps for that window to open for these drivers.
Could be a very interesting story to the race. But for now, we have the race at hand. On lap number 51 of 150. Finishing up caution number 1. We're going to go green flag racing here. Off turns 3 and 4. RJ Williams is going to lead him down to the green flag in the number 21 machine on the inside. Ashton Lawson in the number 24 on the outside in second. Following Williams is Henderson in the number 37. Then following Lawson is the number 27 of Barbagellata. Pace truck pulls down pit road, and they're going to go green flag racing. Once again, Williams leads him down. Good start from him. Henderson was ready on the inside. He might be able to clear Lawson going into 1 and 2. Lawson was not ready for that restart at all, and Henderson's able to clear him. Oh! Almost contact there. They're going to be 3 wide coming out of the corner.
Yeah, Lawson slipped up a little bit on that restart, but he's making up for it out of turns 1 and 2 because he has a massive power move around the outside of Elliot Henderson into 3 and 4. He clears him. What a very strong move there from Ashton Lawson as, Elliot almost got knocked out of the way by Daniel Nanny, sent to the bottom. He's going to be all right. Side by side to turn 1 with Barbagellata and Nanny. Very, very tough racing here on this restart. They want to get their track position before it starts to single file out. Nanny fighting hard around the outside as Barbagellata tries to manage it off the corner. He got a little loose. Nanny's going to get the spot up to 4th place for Daniel Nanny.
Barbagelado looked to just fall in behind at that point. Still very early on in the run. He's going to fall in behind Nanny for now. Does he try to maybe make a move on him going into 1 and 2? Has a lot of speed coming down this French straightaway. Looks like he's going to stay in behind him for now. And that number 27 machine as Josh Caudle begins to approach this battle in the number 32 machine with Shane Neiswanger and Nathan Nicholson not too far behind.
I remember Josh Caudle was really good at the early portion of the run last time by, but really lost out at the back end. I'm looking to see if he ends up doing that again or if he changes his driving style up a little bit. He's kind of got his own little bubble here, but the drivers behind starting to run up on him a little bit.
Here comes Shane Neiswanger coming off his win at Bristol Dirt. And that number 49 machine had a phenomenal show and was able to pull off a phenomenal victory last week on the dirt in the number 49 machine. But here comes Nathan Nicholson. You mentioned it under caution, Alex. He has the freshest tires out of the drivers up near the front. And he's able to make that pass pretty easily on Shane in the number 49. Now he's going to set his sights on the number 32 of Caudle as here comes Gonzalez now as well.
Yeah, Nathan Nicholson with a massive advantage going into this next run. I mean, that caution was pretty well timed for him as any competition on newer tires buried deep in the pack, so he's only got to manage his own stuff at the moment. As I've seen a battle just behind him, Bronson Stafford, Eric Kepf side by side down in the 3 and 4. I think Stafford might get the run out of turn 4 as Eric Kepf's a little bit loose on the bottom. He'll get the run down the straightaway. Now Jake Miller is going around the outside of Eric Kepf. Jake Miller is starting to get himself into this picture.
Eric Kepf not able to get off that corner good at all in that number 63 machine. Stafford's able to clear him. Now here comes Miller in the number 4 machine. Here comes Brittle as well in the number 10. Stafford, you saw it there on the onboard of Miller, continuing to make moves on the high side. He jumps to the high side of the number 3 of Jordan Gonzalez. Bronson Stafford in the 83 making some moves here early on in the run.
Those are some very strong moves around the outside. Very difficult to do around here, but it does use up your tire a good bit. He's going to have to try and manage that because if he keeps running as hard as he is around the outside, he's going to pay for it at the back end of this run. But right now, he's making use of the tire while he's still got it. He's going to get a little assistance from Jake Miller down the back straightaway. He clears Gonzalez. Now Jake Miller looking to follow him down in the 3 and 4. Bronson's going to stay high for the moment. He's going to cross all the way down to the bottom. That allows Jake Miller some clean air, and he's going to get a big run off. Is now just behind them. Hunter Brittle's looking to follow around the outside. Gonzalez losing all these spots and getting trained on the bottom side.
Gonzalez seemed to have had a good amount of speed a couple laps ago, but it's just stuck on the bottom. The outside is really coming in as we go farther on in this race. Hunter Brittle is going to complete the pass on Gonzalez, and now here comes Hunter Madalinas. Gonzalez tried to jump in between them, but was unable to in the number 3 machine. And now here comes Madalinas on the outside, almost contact there with the 3. They're able to keep it off each other for now. Gonzalez gets off the corner very slow, and now here comes Eric Kepf in the 63 to his outside.
Gonzalez really struggling to hold the spot. He's got to slot in now. Looks like he's going to be able to slot up to the high side to block Eric Kepf. But man, he just lost about 4 to 5 spots on that entire transition to corners for the last few laps. He's going to have to try and regather it back up as he was stuck at the bottom and pushing really hard in the corners.
Yeah, was really struggling with handling on the bottom side of the racetrack there for a couple laps. Now he's slotted in right there in front of Mr. Pink. You see the battles going on behind him. It looks like Frederick Kamines and Zachary Henry battling it out with Christopher Heller right in behind him. Zachary Henry and Frederick Kamines and Chris Heller, they've kind of all been around each other pretty much this whole race.
Looking around to see a bit of battling. Looks like both Bronson Stafford, Jake Miller finds themselves in the top 10, and it looks like the leader's getting run down by both Ashton Lawson and Elliot Henderson. He might have pulled out a little bit too far too early on, and now he's starting to pay for it.
Lawson was really flying at the end of the run right before pit stops in the number 24 machine. He's looking like he's continuing where he left off, trying to get to the number 21 of RJ Williams.
They've been running just about a tenth to a half a tenth faster than him lap by lap. I mean, initially, RJ Williams had almost a half second on these two drivers opening up this stint. Now it's closed down to just about 3/10 that last lap. They're starting to close in on him a little bit, but that last lap he did actually pull away about a half a tenth. So it seems to be a bit of back and forth at the moment as they're starting to reach the 20-lap portion on these tires.
There you see the onboard camera of Ashton Lawson, the Season 4 champion, as he's trying to drive down RJ Williams. Going to check the times at the line here. And RJ Williams and Ashton Lawson pretty much ran the exact same lap time, with Henderson running only 1/100th quicker than both of them. But Daniel Nanny is a whole 10th quicker than these drivers right now. He's catching them in the number 30 machine.
I think Daniel Nanny may have just been sitting there laying in wait, waiting for these drivers to start pushing it as the gap really closes up that lap. Elliot Henderson really came up to the rear bumper of Ashton Lawson. Ashton Lawson seemed to gain a good chunk on RJ Williams. As they cross the line this time by, looks like about a 10th was gained for both Lawson and Elliot that time by on our leader.
Yeah, Henderson had by far the quickest lap out of this front five. Quicker by around 2.5 tenths. 2.5 tenths quicker than Williams. Now he's all over Lawson. He has fresher tires than both of these drivers, only by a lap over Lawson and 2 laps over RJ Williams. But that honestly makes a little bit of a difference. A tenth to a half a tenth possibly each lap. It really makes a difference.
Yeah, especially over time, though the disadvantage of Elliot is that because of that caution, they did get 1 heat cycle on the tires, and what that simply does is it really takes out a lot of the strength and flex in the tire. As now, because they've gone hot and gone cold once again, the rubber in the tire really starts to struggle to grip up and flex around the corners. So he doesn't have nearly as big of an advantage as he had before. This may just be a bit of tire management for Elliot as he's really making use of whatever he has left on there.
Elliot's right on Lawson at this point, ready to make his move in the 37 machine. What will he do? Will he continue to follow Lawson? These drivers are both making up ground on Williams, or does he make a move on Lawson? Because Daniel Nanny's coming. That number 30 machine of Daniel Nanny's coming. He's quicker than all 3 of these drivers.
Looks like Elliot's going to take it around the outside of Ashton Lawson. He's not going to have enough of a run down the straightaway. Lawson's going to cut him off into turn 1, but that was a good attempt there, trying to get to the outside in turns 1 and 2. It looks like he might get a bit of a run here off turn 2. I think he's going to take it to the inside. Yes, he will, to the inside of Ashton Lawson, heading down into turn 3. Is he going to outbrake him, or is he going to take it carefully? Looks like they're pretty dead even into the entry of the corner. Elliot's going to gain a little bit in the center. Ashton Lawson's going to get the run off. They're dead even down the front straightaway. Lawson's going to get a bit of draft help from RJ Williams out front, as RJ definitely gives a bit of assistance to Ashton, but Elliot's still there heading down to 1 and 2.
Yeah, great job a lap ago by Elliot Henderson just to set up the number 24 of Lawson, but Lawson was able to put the squeeze on him in 3 and 4 and in 1 and 2, and was able to get the run off the corner and able to drive away from Henderson a little bit there off 1 and 2. Has around a truck length advantage now on the number 37, as Daniel Nanny has officially entered the conversation in the number 30 machine. He's right there behind Henderson now.
Yeah, those 2 laps definitely put a lot of heat and a lot of wear into those 2 drivers' tires, because they were definitely battling really, really hard in the corner center. I saw Elliot sliding up the track a good bit, and Ashton really carrying a good amount of speed through the center of the corner. That gives a big advantage to Daniel Nanny behind, who just had to sit there and manage his stuff while those 2 were pushing it.
Lawson now trying to put a little bit of a gap between himself and Henderson now. After that battle, can he get up there to Williams? Going to check the times at the line here. Once again, these drivers are running pretty much the exact same lap times here in the front 3. Williams, Lawson, Henderson, all within 200ths of each other. Nanny was actually the slowest of the front 4, around a 10th back of these front 3 drivers on time.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Nanny, I expected him to be a little bit quicker by this point in the run. Maybe it is the dirty airs. He is behind 3 other trucks running in that line, and so that's really going to slow him down in the corners. And in complete contrast, we have RJ Williams, who really benefited from that battle earlier on, as he was able to pull out just under a 10th away from these drivers the last couple laps because of that battling, and now he's been able to run a very consistent and steady lead out front.
Yeah, Williams has had a fairly calm day in the number 21 machine. Drove up to the race lead very early on in this race, around 10 laps in, and hasn't really looked back since, and hasn't had really a challenge for the lead as of yet. Lawson really wants to give him that challenge. Here you see the onboard of RJ Williams. Started this race in the 3rd position, took the lead early, and is, like I said, has not looked back since the number 21 machine. There you see Lawson not too far behind him.
Yeah, anytime I try to say that Lawson is slowed off just a little bit, he manages to find some extra pace immediately that next lap. I mean, he's been catching up to RJ Williams very, very slowly, but he has been doing it the last time. Actually, last time by was almost a full 10th on that lap, so that lap was a really, really good lap for Lawson.
Lawson continuing to close down that gap. Henderson and Nanny have kind of maintained their gap in between each other. Lawson continues to pull up here on the number 21 machine of Williams. There you see it on your screen. He just continues to drive a little bit closer. Williams had a better exit, it looked like, off of 3 and 4, but Lawson had just so much center speed that last time by around a half a tenth quicker than RJ Williams, a little bit more than a half a tenth quicker than RJ Williams, number 24 of Lawson.
These two drivers have been going back and forth at it for a good while, but Lawson's been getting some really, really good runs off the corner and has been able to make up a lot of time down the straightaways. He's within 2/10 at the moment right now. Runs a pretty decent 3 and 4. Looks like he gets to the throttle a little bit later, but he's going to get a lot of help from draft down this front straightaway. Both of these drivers are pulling away from Elliot Henderson, who's been struggling a little bit after he started to battle with Ashton Lawson. So he's started to fall out of his battle a little bit. Same thing with Daniel Nanny behind him. It's starting to turn into a 2-horse race at the front of the field.
Daniel Nanny might have used up those tires trying to drive down this front 3, because he was around a second and a half back of this front 3 earlier on in the run, and he drove him down, and ever since he drove him down, he just kind of stalled out, and now he's beginning to fall back in the number 30. Here you see the battle between Zachary Henry, Bronson Stafford, and the number 11 of Christopher Heller, right here around the 12th and 13th position here. Henry in the middle here, almost 3 wide for a second there. Looks like Heller thought better of it in the number 11 as he's going to fall in behind Henry's going to clear Stafford off the corner.
Battle for the lead. Ashton Lawson up the inside of RJ Williams. He had a great run out of turn 2. He's going to lose it off turn 3 and 4. Not yet, though. He holds on to it just for now, but will eventually lose out. Ashton Lawson came out of nowhere with that run. I just went back to the leaders just to check him do that. Looks like he's getting some really massive runs out of turn 1 and 2 and is able to take it to the inside of RJ Williams, but just for now, RJ was able to hold him off.
Lawson really sent it into 3 and 4 and wasn't quite able to make it stick on the bottom side. Now he's going to maybe approach the high side. It looked like he was at least peeking up there. Wasn't quite close enough to make a move, but he was at least trying to see what he could do in that number 24 machine. He's right there within striking distance now. Lawson is right there on RJ Williams. Can he get that run off of 1 and 2? Maybe set him up on the back straightaway once again.
Yeah, he's been a little more even on RJ Williams coming out of turn 4, but every time out of turn 2, he gets a big run down this back straightaway, and that's where I've been seeing him be able to make these moves against most of these other drivers, as he tried to experiment with that higher line into 3 and try and cut it down out of turn 4, but it wasn't able to work out for him. This time he takes a more standard line, doesn't lose as much. I imagine this next lap he might get a pretty big run out of turn 2 and make a move.
We'll have to see right here. Lawson right there within a truck length. He's right there. You see it. Can he get the run off the corner in the number 24? Not going to get a good enough run off 1 and 2 this time, it looks like. Not going to be close enough to make that move. RJ Williams continues to lead in that number 21 machine.
Oh, there's contact further in the back. I think that was around the 6th position. I think that was Barbara Gelato who got turned by Nathan Nicholson there out of turn 4.
It looked like Nicholson got into the quarter panel of Barbara Gelato, and Barbara Gelato was able to make a phenomenal save in the number 27 machine and continue on. Nicewanger, the big winner on that, able to gain some spots, move himself up to 6th.
Yeah, a big loser was Nicholson there, who made the initial move but lost like 5 spots from that engagement. So
Terrible loss for both Nicholson and Barber Gelato, but they keep it going. And oh, up front, Ashton Lawson is taking the lead away from RJ Williams that last lap.
Yeah, I just saw that myself, Alex. It looked like they might have had a little contact off of the corner, and RJ Williams got into the wall off of turn 2, has a little bit of damage on the right side. I couldn't tell if they actually made contact. They got awfully close. You see the damage on the right side, RJ Williams, and here comes Lawson down pit road. Ashton Lawson's going to make that pit stop.
That was just about 40 laps into the stint, a little bit earlier than I expected it to be, but it could be a way to kind of split up this next couple stints if it doesn't get a caution and split it up a little bit more evenly rather than running one really, really long stint. But it seems like the damage on RJ Williams really making him struggle, as now Elliot Henderson's right on top of him.
Henderson's right behind RJ Williams now. Henderson right there. RJ might be suffering a little bit from that damage I was mentioning earlier. It's been a fair... And he's in the wall again! RJ Williams is in the wall again. Gets himself up into the wall, coming into 1 and 2. Now he has even more right side damage. He's really struggling now in the number 21 machine. Did he just get into the wall again? He came awfully close.
He just striped the wall again. RJ Williams has been glued to that wall the last couple laps. The damage could be making him a little bit tight, sucking him up into the outside wall, because that'll sometimes happen. You get a little bit damage, you lose handle of the truck, and suddenly the wall gets a lot closer than you remember it being, as you see some pretty significant right side damage from that last one out of turn 2.
You hate to see it, Alex. RJ Williams has been the strongest truck all race long, has led most of this event, and now just in the last couple of laps, he's hit the wall 3 times in the number 21 machine. He's back in the second spot now behind Elliot Henderson. And now the next question is, when do these drivers make pit stops? And RJ's going to make it right there. Great reactions from Daniel Nanny. Oh my gosh.
Although I think I see a little bit of rear end damage on RJ Williams, so bad gets to worse for him, as Daniel Nanny gave him a little bit of tap, and that gave him a slight bit of damage.
Yeah, I'm looking back at it. Daniel Nanny did touch him a little bit. RJ Williams pulled off a little bit off the bottom line. Daniel Nanny was not at all ready for that, but great reactions from the number 30 as he's now coming down pit road, Daniel Nanny. Henderson as well.
Henderson pitting seems to be 3 laps later than when Ashton Lawson pit. Daniel Nanny's going to follow him in at the same time. These drivers are going to have significantly newer tires, but they have to bank on this caution not coming out, as now Josh Caudle will inherit the lead. We saw last time the caution came out from a driver messing up their pit road entry. If that happens again, these drivers are going to be in big, big trouble.
The question is, who will be the last guy to come down pit road? Currently, race leader is Josh Caudle. He's going to skip past pit road for now. Shane Neiswanger is going to come down pit road in the number 49 machine. He will give up second place. Josh Caudle out there leading laps in the number 32 machine.
And these drivers on the newer tires really have to be careful, as these slower cars and the old tires can really be a bit of a roadblock. You can use up a lot of your stuff running through there. There's always the risk of getting some damage. I mean, it's a good strategy sometimes just to stay out to keep yourself safe. And I'm seeing as Ashton Lawson pulls off pit road, both Daniel Nanny and Elliot Henderson gets out in front of him. So not only does he have older tires, but he's behind the 2 drivers he was battling before.
I'm very curious on what happened there with Ashton Lawson. He seemed to have lost quite a bit of time on the racetrack, even though he made that earlier pit stop. And I'm looking back at it now. Looking a couple laps ago, he made contact with Christopher Heller and went spinning through the grass in the number 24 machine. Lost quite a bit of time.
Luckily, checking on his live truck, I'm not seeing any significant damage on his part, so he may have been able to get away damage-wise, but it's going to hurt him so much in terms of tire and track position, as he's already being gapped by Nanny and Elliott.
Yeah, that's a race killer pretty much right there. He's going to be hoping on a caution at this point, because he made that early pit stop so he can put a huge gap between himself, Henderson, and Williams, and everyone pretty much. And with him going through the grass like that, it killed all of his time, and now he's just going to be preying on a caution flag to get him back into this race in the number 24 machine.
Now, crucially here, there's a good number of drivers who were inside the top 10 who have still stayed out on the racetrack, and drivers in the case of Ross Brockman who stayed out after getting new tires thanks to that caution. So he's going to be able to go it a little bit longer than some of these other drivers, always bringing out that possible risk of a caution, as Daniel Nanny just caught up a ton to Elliot Henderson down the back straightaway. I think I saw him make a little bit of contact with Madalinas, and that allowed Daniel Nanny to catch up a good amount down that back straight.
Daniel Nanny right there on Elliot Henderson. That's currently the battle for the lead out of the drivers that have already made their pit stops, because they're both going to drive past Nathan Nicholson, and that's a pretty big deal, because that puts him back on the lead lap right there if a caution would come out right now. It sounds like Nicholson's going to come down pit road, though, this time in the number 40 machine. Race leader is currently pulling down pit road off 3 and 4.
We still have some drivers staying out, though, for the case of Hunter Madalena staying out continuously on this stint, so he's going to try and pull a bit of a gamble and try and run it out. As I'm hearing that he's going to pit the next lap, so he can't go any further. But these drivers do have to worry about it, as they've run a good number of laps. If a caution comes out by this point, it may be a decent question on pitting again for tires, as they've run a good chunk of laps on these newer tires.
Yeah, some of these drivers have a good amount of laps already on their tires. Some of these drivers are already approaching 10 laps on this run alone. Some drivers are still finishing up their pit stops on this pit cycle. Currently, the race leader is Nick Martin in the number 42 machine.
Battle right now is definitely for those positions towards the front of the field. I mean, Elliot Henderson and Daniel Nanny are right on top of each other. As we're watching RJ Williams fall down the order, the damage is definitely causing him a lot of problems here. Just checking in on the Crunchyroll machine of Nick Martin, our current leader, as he's gonna once again skip out on pit road. He's going very, very long on this fuel stint. 48 laps, that's a lot of time on fuel. Could he be trying to go for a one-stop here?
That's what I was mentioning, Alex. He might try. He might try to do it. I feel like it's a little bit far at the moment. I don't know if he could do it, but him staying out this long pretty much tells me that he's either trying that or just really hoping on a caution here. A situation that happened earlier with Ross Brockman, as now Nick Martin pulls down pit road in the number 42 machine.
And sadly, he did not go long enough on fuel to be able to make it a one-stop, so that was definitely a caution gamble that didn't end up working out. That gives the lead away to Ross Brockman, the driver who last benefited from the caution. Can he benefit from it again? As last time he was the only driver out at the time of caution, but different from last time is I think he's the only driver left to pit, so the likelihood of a caution coming out is very, very low by this point.
Now Ross here, he actually has potential to make it to the finish on one stop. Currently, he hasn't made a pit stop in, it looks like, 49 laps. If he can make it another, I'm thinking 3 or 4 laps at least, he might have a shot of making it to the finish. Oh, and there's a spin! Hunter Brittle gets turned around by Nixon right in front of Brockman, and Brockman's going to benefit again.
It's the commentator's curse. I say there's a low chance of a caution, and we get a caution. I mean, Ross Brockman right now is the king of lucky strategies, because he once again benefits from a massive caution, and this time it's going to be hard to argue for these drivers not to pit for tires.
But now this is going to get really interesting, Alex, because this is like right on the edge of the fuel window. These drivers can comfortably make it around 48 laps. This is going to be right on the fuel window. We're going to get a replay on the incident here. Hunter Brittle and Nathan Nixon made some contact going into 1 and 2. Here's the replay here for you. Hunter Brittle on the high side, Nathan Nixon on the inside. Hunter Brittle slows up for Brockman. They try to make it 3 wide going into the corner, and like Brittle cut down a little too far to the inside, and Nixon came up a little bit. They're both just kind of trying to go for the same spot on the racetrack. Here's the onboard look of Hunter Brittle, driver of the number 10 machine. There you see him avoid Brockman to the inside, and maybe came down just a little too far, and Nixon maybe came up just a little bit, and that's all it takes here. Brittle goes spinning into the outside wall for caution number 2 of the day. Once again, coming at the very edge of the pit window here.
And so far, I'm not seeing the drivers who made a pit stop last time by coming in for fuel. I mean, they are just outside of this window. It's currently about 52 laps, as we're hearing from the race control that there will be no penalty on that one. Looked to be a little bit of what we like to call gap whack here at the Flatout Racing Network. So Hunter Brittle just comes away with a good chunk of damage, but no penalty, as Ross Brockman's going to capitalize on this. He's going to have 10-lap newer tires than all these other drivers here on the racetrack.
Yeah, Ross Brockman's going to really capitalize on this. He's kind of been the king of strategy over here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. Has a lot of speed, a top 10, top 15 driver, almost anywhere we go, very consistent, but just very smart with the strategy and very just overall smart in general and just keeping it safe and keeping his car clean until the end. And he could possibly benefit from all this and maybe come out of here with a win tonight.
I mean, that would be something, wouldn't it? And if this goes green, I mean, that's perfect for him because he needs it to go green. If we get another caution, these other drivers who currently have the track position are going to capitalize massively versus him on these brand new tires. He's got a lot of time to make it through the field. Wasn't able to capitalize on the newer tires last time, but I think the amount of laps on these leaders with their tires is definitely going to make the difference this time.
It's definitely going to make a huge difference here, and I'm just curious if anybody's actually going to maybe try to make it the distance, because it's going to be very close for these drivers here, Alex. It's going to be super close. We saw some of these drivers make it 48, 49 laps, and when we go green flag racing, it looks like it's probably going to be around 48 or 49 laps to go here.
And crucially, I believe I saw, it looks like Ashton Lawson is actually behind Ross Brockman, so I think he made a pit stop for tires, which, I mean, I think that's the good call here, because you're going to have 10 to 12 lap newer tires than all the drivers out front, and you still have an extra set of tires left in the pits for this next green flag stop. Now, the crucial part is that if we get a caution late in the race and it's timed at the wrong time, and then you get another caution after that, you're going to really struggle on tires. But so far, we've only seen a couple cautions come out, and they've only been at the very end of the fuel stints.
Yeah, but now we're in the last third of the race. Stuff's really going to get crazy here. It tends to happen here in the Great Lakes Series, whether it's the Truck Series, Premier Series, or whatever series we're running in Great Lakes competition. The first half of these races seem to be fairly calm, and then once we get a caution flag in the second half of the race, it just really just sets the whole race off, and we have a full field here. A lot could happen here still. A lot could happen.
And you know what I'm liking that I'm seeing is that because of when this caution came out, you did get a good number of drivers just come in purely for tires. That allows Ross Brockman, our caution beneficiary, to actually be starting in the 14th position versus where he started last time we had a restart, deep inside the mid-20s in the field. So he's going to have a much bigger advantage with a lot better track position than he did on the last stint.
Definitely a big advantage indeed. We go green flag racing, this time by Elliot Henderson. Will be starting on the inside of row number 1 from the race lead. Daniel Nanny will be restarting on his high side in second. Restarting right behind Henderson is Josh Caudle in the 32. And restarting right behind Nanny is William Barbagelata in the number 27. Jake Miller has entered the conversation, by the way. He's up here in the top 5 for the first time tonight. The number 4 of Jake the Snake Miller. What could he do here? Can he make some moves here and try to get up there and take the race lead possibly for the first time tonight? The pace truck will pull down pit road after caution number 2. And Elliot Henderson with the great restart leads him down to the green flag. Already almost 3-4 truck lengths out in front of Nanny and Caudle, as Nanny and Caudle are going to battle it out going into 1 and 2.
Josh Caudle back into this battle after the troubles of his compatriots at the front of the field, but it looked like Daniel Nanny just was not lined up close enough to Elliot Henderson on that start. He lost out. He is going to find his way back into the second spot. He's going to make the move in the 3. No, he's going to back it off a little bit. Going to look to try and get the run out of turn 4. As of right now, though, Elliot is running a very, very good line. But oh,
he saves it. Michael Madden in the 09 machine after contact.
Big scrambles in the back is now Daniel Nanny making the move for the lead inside of turns 1 and 2 as they're scattering all over the place. Daniel Nanny to the point as now Elliot Henderson falls back to second under pressure from Josh Caudle.
New race leader, it's the number 30 of Nanny. Here comes Henderson. He's going to try to maybe take it back on the inside. Not able to find the space down there. Caudle in the third spot, putting the pressure on. Here comes Jake Miller in the number 4. Jake Miller up here competing for the lead for the first time today.
Yeah, Jake Miller's been on a bit of a recovery trip after his poor qualifying. Has really struggled so far all day, but when the time comes late in this race, he's taken full advantage of it. It's just behind them. Niswanger makes a great move on Austin Moore to move his way up to the 6th position. Jake Miller's under a good bit of pressure from William Barber-Gelato, who's been up front the entire day. As we're seeing some even more battling as now Ashton Lawson on those newer tires is now looking to get his way inside of the top 10, just behind Zachary Henry, who's currently holding that 9th spot.
Barber-Gelato all over Miller, almost made contact with him going into the corner. You see some heavy battling going on back here. Cremines, looks like Stafford on the inside. The number 52 of Brockman's back here. A lot of these drivers on fresh Goodyears here, trying to get up to the front.
Yeah, they're currently taking full advantage of all the tire that they have, and we're seeing the difference as they've gone from, in the case of Ashton Lawson, from the 15th starting spot all the way up to the 10th spot, but it's starting to stall out here at the back end of the top 10. They're not able to make as much progress as I expected, as Ashton Lawson to the outside of Zachary Henry, but he might get boxed in here with Austin Moore just ahead, getting passed by Nathan Nicholson.
Lawson making moves. They're going to go 3 wide into the corner. Lawson really sends it in there. He's going to make it stick in the middle. A very impressive move from the 24. Able to get past both the number 12 of Henry and the number 91 of Moore. And now he's going to set his sights on the Jägermeister machine of Nathan Nicholson. He's going to set it to the inside, going into turns 1 and 2 to take over the 7th spot.
Man, that was a phenomenal set of corners there from Ashton Lawson as he makes the move on Nathan Nicholson. He's clear coming out of turn 2. I mean, that was a perfectly timed move down there in turns 3 and 4 and immediately gaps Nicholson. He's taken full advantage of that tire, and he's going to easily run down Shane Niswanger in the next couple laps. But out front, Daniel Nanny still retaining the lead over Elliot Henderson, holding a solid gap as we're seeing a bit of a battle back here between Ross Brockman and Bronson Stafford. Bronson Stafford holding the line around the outside. He's going to get a bit of a run out of turn 2. He's going to be able to clear Ross Brockman. It's just behind Matthew Rodriguez, making the move around the outside of Ross Brockman.
And we haven't mentioned Emrod all day. Here he is up here in the top 15, trying to get into the top 10 on the high side of the number 52 of Brockman. Rodriguez also on those fresh Goodyears, making some moves up to the front in that 57 machine as they're 3 wide now.
Ashton Lawson taking it through right up the inside. He's going to get a 2-for-1 down in turns 1 and 2. Both
Lawson
moves
able
done.
to clear him. He's going to move up to the high side in front of Barber-Gelato and Niswanger. Lawson continuing to make moves. He is now in the top 5 in the number 24 machine.
Seeing a bit of contact there between
Barber-Gelato and Shane Niswanger. Some aggressive racing down
the front straightaway. It's just ahead of him. Ashton Lawson pulls
away. Ashton Lawson running down now Jake Miller towards the front. It's just ahead of him. Josh Caudle looking a little feisty there just behind Elliot Henderson. They've been stacked on top of each other inside of the top 3.
Josh Caudle
looking to move there on the inside. He's not been able to get a big enough of a run on Elliot Henderson just ahead of these guys, but he has been very strong compared to earlier on in the race. Josh Caudle just not able to get a big enough run. It's just behind them. Ashton Lawson, as we're looking, has now caught up to the back bumper of Jake Miller. Jake Miller under a lot of pressure from these new Goodyear rubber tires. And just behind them, Eric Kempf making the move on Austin Moore. There's a lot of shuffling here in the back half of the top 10, but the battle is all the way up here just towards the top 5.
Some good battles going up here in the top 5 here. Some drivers on fresh tires making some moves up to the front. Who can get up there before this race is over and done with? Do we get another caution before we're done here? A little under 40 laps to go. Here you see Jordan Gonzalez in the number 3 machine battling it out with Gavin Fitzgerald, Hunter Madalinas, Tyler McClellan, and other drivers around the 15th position.
don't watch out now. Ashton Lawson just made the move on Jake Miller on the previous corner. He's now up to the 4th position as they're battling side by side just ahead of him. Josh Caudle inside of Elliot Henderson for the 2nd spot. Gets a big run off turn 2. They're still side by side down the back straight. That's going to give big help to Ashton Lawson behind. Josh Caudle looking to make a clean pass into 3 and 4 so that he could start to run away and allow Elliot to make the battle with Ashton Lawson. But now he does a crossover out of turn 4. Back inside. Where does Ashton Lawson go with those new tires as he's got a big run heading down to turns 1 and 2?
Henderson backed it way down going into 3 and 4 just to set him up for the crossover move to the inside. Now he's neck and neck with Caudle. Does Lawson maybe make it 3 wide on the back straightaway? He tries to. Henderson throws the block on the 24. Lawson has to sit in behind him for now. Caudle's going to clear Henderson going into 3 and 4. What does Lawson do? He's going to get the run off the corner, I'm thinking here.
That was an aggressive block from Elliot Henderson to keep it ahead of Ashton Lawson. Gave away the spot to Josh Caudle, but he's going to take the move back down into turns 1 and 2. He's going to back off a little bit. He's not going to be able to get the inside. That's going to allow Ashton Lawson to take it to the outside of Elliot Henderson. Big move around the outside. Turn 2, he's going to get a big run down the back straightaway. He might clear him down into turn 3. Yes, he will. Ashton Lawson up to 3rd.
Lawson able to complete the pass on the number 37 of Henderson. Here comes Stafford. Stafford also on those fresh tires in the 83. He is driving them down. He's moved himself into 5th. Lawson getting held up here. Lawson now going to make the move on Caudle for 2nd. Can he clear him going through the corner? It looks like Caudle's just going to give him the spot in the number 32 machine as he backs way down the corner. Nanny's in the wall and he gets turned. He gets turned by Lawson. There goes Nanny spinning into the inside.
Oh, that was a crucial error from Daniel Nanny getting the wall. Terrible timing for them, and now the order's all shuffled up as now Bronson Stafford finds his way into 2nd just behind our new leader, Ashton Lawson.
I'm curious if Lawson has any front-end damage on that. It looked like after Nanny had gotten into the wall, that Lawson got into the rear end of him, and Nanny had got turned around. Wondering if that damage could possibly affect Lawson, and here comes Stafford in the 83. He's going to have the run off the corner. Lawson looks like he's a sitting duck right now.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the left side of the hood as he's going to make a pit stop just in front of Elliot Henderson. That was an incredibly dangerous move for those two drivers. Luckily, both of them had the same idea as they almost got caught up with some other messes. And now Bronson Stafford is our leader in tonight's race from the midfield for a majority of this race to the front with a good strategy call.
Here we are going to take a look at the replay on the incident with Daniel Nanny and Ashton Lawson. Here's the onboard look of Daniel Nanny. We're going to get it here for you. Nanny's just slides up the racetrack, just driving so hard and smacks the wall very hard, tries to save it, and just looked like to me that Lawson wasn't going to slow down for that. It's late in the race. I get that. It's very late in the race, and Lawson wanted to go. He had the quickest car on the racetrack. Nanny goes spinning to the inside after hitting the wall very hard and unable to hang on to it in the number 30 machine. There's another look at it there.
Yeah, the crucial moment there was when Nanny overcorrected back up the track just in front of Ashton Lawson. That really cost both of them there at that moment. Big crucial error from Daniel Nanny that really affects the result for two of these drivers today.
I'm curious when we're going to see some of these other drivers come down pit road and make that last pit stop. What do you do here? Do you take the 4 tires, or do you possibly try to run the whole run out and maybe just do a little gas and go? Because some of these drivers only need around 2 or 3 laps worth of fuel in the tank.
I'm hearing a lot of drivers saying they're going to be coming down in the pit lane. Very, very early stops for these guys. They're looking to split it up as close to being in half as possible as they're seeing the advantage that they're losing. They know that all these drivers who pit for tires are going to be needing to pit at some point later on in the race. The question is going to be for these guys on newer tires, are they going to get a caution, and or are they going to be able to just short stop and try and gain track position on purely pit stops alone?
When do these drivers make... Oh, and Matthew Rodriguez really sent it in there on Zachary Henry. Heavy contact between those two. They're able to keep it straight for now. And then Henry's going to go up to the high side, get out of the way for now.
Now the order's been all messed up here at the front of the field. Bronson Stafford from the 40th starting position is our current leader of the race. Nathan Nicholson, who's been up front for most of this race, is now sitting there in the second spot, and Matthew Rodriguez finds his way into the third spot. So this order has gone all out of whack from that weirdly timed caution that really threw strategy out the window and mixed it all up inside of a hat.
It's definitely been some crazy timed cautions here tonight that have really thrown a monkey wrench into strategy and into this race. There you see Henderson right there, Elliot Henderson, first driver on fresh tires that has made that final pit stop of the day.
The crucial part is going to be, are these guys going to be able to make up enough time to try and get their laps back? We're seeing some more drivers come down into the pit lane. I believe that's Jacob Hayes in the 69 car. We're seeing a bunch of drivers make really, really early stops, which I was not expecting to happen, as we've seen those cautions come out late in the fuel stints. Maybe it's just a way to try and prevent some of that and try and make up as much time as you can. As Elliot Henderson is on a tirade towards the front of the field, he just passed our current 8th place driver, but he's got to make up a good chunk of time to be able to get the Bronson Stafford, who's currently on the front straight.
See, I like the strategy of a lot of these guys staying out a little longer. I don't know if they should stay out to the end of this run. Staying out maybe another 5 laps or something along those lines, I think could really do some of these guys some good. They'll have a lot of speed at the end of this run. You just got to make sure you don't pit too late. Because if you pit too late and we stay green this whole way, you're going to have those fresh tires at the end of the run, but then the checkered flag is going to come out.
Well,
Here
our
comes
leaders,
Stafford.
yeah, our leader's pitting, and I believe just behind him, I think I saw Matthew Rodriguez coming into the pit lane. So these drivers are splitting the stint perfectly in half, 25 and 25 on tires. They're going to have a pretty solid tire advantage over the guys who pit early, and they had that advantage early on at the beginning. But how much pace are they going to have? Because they weren't up there earlier on when everybody was on equal tire. Is this newer tire going to be enough for them to be able to get the win of this race?
We'll have to see. Strategy, strategy, strategy. And this is just one of those tracks where it's just so reliant on strategy and what you do on pit road and when you do it.
Check it up. It looks like Elliot Henderson and Jake Miller are going to be able to pass Matthew Rodriguez, who actually was the one who came out of the pit lane first between those two drivers. And he's going to get passed all the way by William Barber-Gelado as well. So he's got a lot of time to make up, but he is on 4 fresh Goodyear tires and will have a big advantage in terms of pace.
So if he doesn't get spun out first, almost contact there with McClellan and Hincock going pretty wide into 3 and 4. Bronson Stafford at number 83 has a lot of time to make up. Does he have enough time to do it? And can we keep this race green? Some drivers still have yet to make that final pit stop. Nicholson, Henry, Brockman, Gonzalez, Martin, Hella, and Justin Benda. Haven't mentioned Justin Benda all night, making his return tonight.
Well, Nicholson and Kef are coming into the pit lane now. So far, Zachary Henry has stayed out. So has Ross Brockman and Jordan Gonzalez, and just a few other drivers behind. But now our last front 2 have now come to the pit lane. These drivers are starting to funnel in a lot earlier than I expected them to.
See who the next drivers to come down pit road will be. Here you say the battle between Matthew Rodriguez and Zachary Henry. These two continue to battle.
I'm going to crucially be watching Matthew Rodriguez here because he actually jumped Bronson Stafford in the pit lane. He's currently got 8 laps newer tire than Elliot Henderson out in front of him and has been running some slightly quicker laps. Although that last time by, he did struggle a little bit with some trouble passing some lap cars, but he does have some pretty solid pace in those newer tires.
Rodriguez on the newer tires. What can he do here late in the race? 20 laps to go. Henderson is currently the leader out of the drivers that have made that final pit stop of the day, currently residing in the 7th position, right in front of Jake Miller, Mike Tellier, and Shane Neiswanger, who have all made their final pit stops as well.
Now, what I'm definitely going to be watching is, are we going to see that caution? Because so far, every single run we've seen today has ended up with a caution as people are coming through green flag pit stops, which has forced the order to be really back and forth and really crazy. So we haven't seen a lot of real green flag pit stops and the full stints run out all the way. We've seen one stint and then a caution, one stint and then a caution. Are we going to get that again? Because with these drivers who are staying out, we know Ross Brockman's going to stay out. This is his crucial strategy. He loves doing this, staying out as long as he can, trying to catch that caution. It's worked out for him twice today. Can it work out again?
That's what I was going to say. I don't think we're going to get a caution until Ross Brockman is leading this race here. Zach Henry currently the race leader. It's worked out for Ross twice so far that the caution has came out while he was leading the race and is yet to make his final pit stop here. Zach Henry, Ross Brockman, Jordan Gonzalez, Nick Martin, Christopher Heller, and Justin Benda still have yet to make that final pit stop as we're under 20 laps to go. Zach Henry leading the field. Tyler McClellan here trying to get his lap back. He's currently in the 16th position. 16 drivers currently on the lead lap.
Yeah, and the more and more this runs out, the less and less drivers who are going to be a lap down, and the more of a penalty, I guess you could say it is, for all these drivers to stay out, because they're going to be able to just take tires if a caution comes out. Now, question is, if this caution comes out, if we do get one very, very late in the race, how late is it that you would be comfortable staying out, trying to gamble on you being able to make it 2 laps out in the lead and not have to worry about guys on new tires?
Paddling very heavy right here. Hunter Madalise inside of RJ Williams. He's going to be able to clear him going into 1 and 2. It is a battle for position, battle for the 19th position. These drivers are actually battling it out for the lucky dog, actually. Brett Kincott is currently the driver in the lucky dog spot. Actually, no, these drivers actually just got past the race leader. My mistake. They had just gotten past Zach Henry a lap ago. That currently actually puts Frederick Kamines in the lucky dog position in the 21st spot. Eric Kemp trying to take the way right there.
Now, 2 of these guys are very quickly catching up to the leader. Looks like Eric Kemp on those newer tires is going to be able to get it. They're going to be able to get their lap back quickly here. We don't know who exactly would fall into that lucky dog position, as we see Rodriguez on those newer tires making the move around the outside of Shane Nicewanger. He's now up to the 10th position, and Josh Caudle is just ahead of him here. He's been making progress, but it's been very slow. He's only been able to gain just about a 10th on the drivers ahead each lap compared to the 3 to 4 he was gaining earlier on. The tires seem to be evening out just a little bit here as the stint wears on.
As the stint goes on, they seem to even out a little bit, but the 10th is really all he needs. If he can just keep up that pace, you see Henderson and Miller not too far out in front of him. If Rodriguez can keep up this pace and continue to make passes, he can end up in victory lane. He's having a hard time getting past Shane Nicewanger here with Bronson Stafford. Now here comes Stafford. Stafford's on those fresher tires. Nicewanger blocks him all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. A very aggressive block from Nicewanger to Stafford send him going into the corner. He's going to stay behind him for now and try to approach it a little differently coming off the corner.
Well, now Bronson Stafford's the one leading the charge on the newer tires, as now that he's ahead of Matthew Rodriguez, who came in the same pit lap as he did. He's going to be leading the charge here with his very, very strong pace that we saw him have earlier on. These drivers are just about a 1.5 seconds away from Elliot Henderson and Jake Miller, but that battle with Shane Nicewanger lost them a lot of time.
Nicewanger fighting back hard in that number 49 machine. Rodriguez still can't quite clear him. He might be able to clear him going down the front straightaway. He will not. Nicewanger gets a great run off the corner, and Stafford is really driving away from these two very quickly and is driving up on Henderson and Miller. That would be a battle for the race lead out of drivers that have already made their final pit stops.
Crucially here, compared to the lap times Rodriguez was running, Bronson Stafford just ran a 31.1. Henderson, Miller, and Caudle were anywhere from 3 to 5 tenths slower than Bronson was. So he's making up a lot of time very quickly here as they're approaching 11 laps to go.
Miller and Henderson able to get past Josh Caudle. Josh Caudle now third out of those drivers that have made their final pit stops of the day. Here comes Henry. Henry's going to come down pit road and give the lead to Ross Brockman. Where's the caution flag?
Yeah, it's almost comical to the degree that Ross Brockman is able to pull out these cautions with him staying out all the way. But with 10 laps to go this time by, the battle is going to be that we're watching right here. Bronson Stafford looking to make the moves on Josh Caudle, Jake Miller, and Elliot Henderson, because once this all cycles out, this is going to be for the lead, as I'm pretty sure Bronson got into the wall a little bit out of turn 2.
Bronson is pushing that truck very hard. He knows he's running out of laps here. It's one thing to catch, but it's a whole different thing to pass. He's up to Caudle. He's driven him down. He's trying to get to his outside going into 1 and 2 as Caudle sends it on Miller going into 1 and 2. The battle is on between them. Can Henderson possibly check out? This is not good for Stafford. Stafford has nowhere to go at the moment. He's going to follow Miller on the high side.
He may box himself in here as Caudle definitely has a bit better pace than Miller at the moment. Miller's going to get a bit of a run off. They may stagnate out. Is Bronson going to take it 3 wide down the front straight? I believe he will. He's going to try it. Not able to do it as Josh Caudle provides a bit of a block. Is he going to dive it down into turn 1? So far, just holding on with Josh Caudle being able to make the pass on Jake Miller, or so I thought. Miller trying to take it back around the outside. Not able to do it. Now Bronson up the inside of Jake Miller as Caudle slots into line.
Here comes Stafford on the inside of Jake Miller. He's going to complete the pass going into 3 and 4. Does Miller maybe try a crossover move? He will not have enough speed on exit, it looks like. Stafford now sets his sights on Josh Caudle. That would be for the 5th position on the racetrack. There's still 3 drivers that have yet to make their final stop. That being Ross Brockman, Nick Martin, and Christopher Heller. Can one of these drivers possibly make it to the finish? I'm really looking at Chris Heller right now. He looks like he's been saving gas in that number 11 machine.
Yeah, and he's on about a 2-lap shorter stint than Ross Brockman is right at the moment. Heller is going across the line with about 45 laps left on the stint, but he's going to have to try and stretch it an extra 6 laps if he wants to make it to the finish. And we've yet to see anybody make it over 50 laps to the finish, so I don't think Heller's going to be able to make it.
It's going to be very close for Heller, but it seems like he might be trying to make it. Nick Martin has made that final pit stop. It's down to Brockman and Heller as Caudle and the number 83 of Stafford battle it out here. Stafford trying to clear him off the corner. He's trying to complete the pass on the high side, and he will. Now he sets his sights on Henderson. He's going to keep on the high side, keep the momentum up. He's going to jump all the way to the high side. Henderson throws the block going into the corner.
There's going to be a crucial pass here for Bronson Stafford. This could be the pass for the win, as we've not gotten that caution yet. He had to check up a good bit out of turn 2. He's not going to have the run. He has to make sure he doesn't let Caudle get back to the inside. He's got to try and make this move on Elliott, as he's been using up his tires a lot battling around these guys, but he's been a lot faster right here at the finish. Big run out of turn 4. Where does he take it? Takes it to the inside. They're side by side down the front straightaway, down into turns 1 and 2. Bronson Stafford looking to take what will be the lead of this race. Very close racing, but he's got the grip. He makes it clear around Elliot Henderson. Bronson Stafford makes the pass. Bronson Stafford just made the most important pass of this race.
Very aggressive pass, but we still have a couple of laps left, and it looks like these drivers might attempt to make it to the finish. Ross Brockman still on the racetrack. Christopher Heller still on the racetrack. Can one of these drivers make it to the finish and possibly win the race? Christopher Heller around 5 seconds in front of Bronson Stafford. Ross Brockman around 9 seconds in front of Bronson Stafford. Can one of these drivers make it to the finish and win the race? Ross Brockman saving a lot of fuel up there on the high side. Does he maybe come down pit road this time by? He stays out once again, approaching 2 laps to go. Ross Brockman in the 52.
And Kyle, this is crucial. Ross Brockman just ran a 51-lap stint. That's the amount of laps Christopher Heller needs to run to make it to the finish. There is a chance that Heller can make it to the finish, as this is the first time we've seen a driver make it over 50 laps. If Ross Brockman runs out of fuel here, Christopher Heller could be our winner, but we can't forget about the fact that Bronson Stafford behind has been running almost a half second to a second faster a lap than Christopher Heller.
White flag is out for Ross Brockman. He's won races on strategy before, but not quite like this. Can he make it back around to the checkered flag in the number 52 machine? Does he have enough energy to make it back? Coming off turns 1 and 2, Ross Brockman half a lap to checkers.
Ross Brockman, the race's luckiest man so far this race. He could find his way with strategy as he rounds turn 4. He could crawl it to the finish. Ross Brockman, on an incredible fuel strategy, is going to win the race here at Nashville Speedway.
Ross Brockman able to get the victory here at Nashville Superspeedway, able to make it on fuel. Oh my goodness, what a strategy from Brockman. I think he's out of gas right there coming out of 1 and 2. I think he's out of gas right now, coasting it around the racetrack, had just enough fuel, and Chris Heller also had just enough fuel, and Chris Heller comes home in the second position. These drivers tried the strategy I mentioned earlier, and it worked out for him. Ross Brockman ends up in victory lane. He went 52 laps in the number 52. What a performance, Alex.
I mean, that was absolutely phenomenal stuff as the drivers are crashing just ahead of him. Sadly, neither of our front two drivers have any fuel left, so it's going to be a struggle for them to make it around this racetrack. But Ross Brockman doesn't need any more fuel. He made it to the finish with an incredible fuel strategy, the longest stint I've seen anybody do the entire day. What an incredible call from Ross Brockman to not only stay out as long as he did both times, but to catch the caution and to gamble on fuel to make it to the finish. Ross Brockman wins it here at Nashville.
I just don't know how he does it. Ross is just such a smart driver, just such a smart individual. I just don't know how he always just manages to find a way to get it done. He started 41st today. He struggled most of the day, was hanging outside the top 10, but with certain strategies, he was able to get himself track position not once, not twice, but 3 times, and that third time was able to put himself into victory lane. And he's getting that push from Gavin Fitzgerald, pushing him to the line so he can celebrate at the start-finish line and go up there and snag that checkered flag. What a performance from Ross Brockman.
And I'm hoping if we could get a couple of these drivers in here, I'm looking at it. I'm pretty sure this is our third place finisher here. Looking to see if I could drag him in. Hello, Bronson Stafford, I believe. Welcome to the booth. Came away. I thought you were going to win the race.
I did too.
I mean, frankly, while I was watching the end of this race, I mean, I thought it was king. I was watching this battle between you and Elliot Henderson, and I was like, okay, this is going to be the battle for the win of the race. I mean, what was your thought process going through that moment there?
Yeah, I came out just over 4 seconds behind him, and I was like, "There's the target." Was Henderson and Miller? They were running together. That was the target, but we got to like lap 144, and it was only the battle for third, and I was like, "Oh no, some people are gonna make it, aren't they?"
Yeah, there were a couple of people that did end up making it, but crucially for your case, I mean, you started in the 40th position. You went from all the way in the back of the field and pulled a crucial strategy there around lap 100 when that caution came out, decided to take tires, and you were able to gain so much track position, dragged your way all the way out to the lead. I mean, did you think that you had the race very strongly in control by that point, or were there definitely a lot of worries still?
Yeah, I felt pretty good, actually, putting the tires on at 100. I felt good about it. The biggest thing was if it went 20 laps, we would have to pit under yellow and put the last set on it, or we would just run as late as possible and do 2 tires. But people started pitting around 120 anyways, and we're doing 4 tires, so I was like, okay, cool, I have a bit more tire here. I can run it 5, 6, 7 laps more, put fresh tires on, and just run them back down. There was a lot of tire fall off tonight, so it worked out really good. We were able to get back to Elliot and Miller and Josh and them for that battle that I feel like we were robbed of it being for the win a little bit, but they the 52 and the 11 did really good jobs on fuel. I don't think anyone expected that from fuel numbers. We were looking at 45 to 48 at most, and they went like 52. So
Yeah, it truly was something of marvel out there at the front, but it was marvelous watching you drag your way through the field. You had a phenomenal performance battling with guys who was out front pretty much the entire race there at the finish. You did a fantastic job. Who do you have to thank for the finish tonight? Because you did a great job here.
Oh yeah, always a huge shout out to the Sky Motorsports team. We had a really good showing, except for Robert Kenny. He I think got the wall at one point and it just kind of killed the truck. But we had FRN's owner out there with Matt Rod. He was running up there right at the end. Tellier was right up there at the end, and obviously all the sponsors on the truck from Steak and Shake, Thompson Caterpillar, and we got obviously FRN. We had you guys on the truck as we do in most of the races that we run, and glad that we could get a good showing in only my second start here. So I feel like we passed in those trucks tonight. So definitely some good exposure.
Yeah, definitely some good exposure. Had the Flatout Racing Network all over that race truck, highlighted it as much as the branding helps. We got a lot of people on the Flatout Racing Network watching the Flatout Racing Network truck perform well. So you represented us well today. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, let's try and drag in our second place finisher here tonight, Christopher Heller. Oh my gosh, man. I was really doubting that you guys were going to make it to the finish. I thought maybe there was a slight chance you might have made it, but I mean, what's your thoughts after seeing that Ross Brockman made it, who went 2 laps longer than even you did?
Man, I thought I had that thing in the back, honestly, but it was close. But I'll take second after the night that I had, and I think I might have regained the points lead out of that, but man, it's like my third second place finish this season, so it kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Tonight, I mean, let's be real, the performance was not as much as I imagine you might have wanted it to be. You kind of around the back half of the top 10 for a good chunk of this race, but a great call later on. I mean, what gave you the idea to pull a fuel strategy after we saw these guys really struggle to even make it to 50 laps? What was the thought process to even start doing a fuel strategy at that point in the race?
Well, I was just kind of looking at my position and points. I was like, you know what? I had some points to give in case I wasn't able to make it, so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to throw a Hail Mary here, and hopefully I come down with the football, and I kind of came down with it, but Ross came down with it first, so congrats to him.
Well, you did come away with a fantastic finish tonight, and it may not have been the victory, but you pulled a fantastic call to get yourself a second place finish when the pace was a little bit not as there today, so congratulations on that. Who do you have to thank for that?
Man, I just got to thank the whole 2511 team. My whole team was doubting me, and I was like, I'm going to make this, but I got to obviously thank Zach Henry, Jordan Gonzalez, Matt Daniels. Brandon's, unfortunately, with his work schedule right now, with him being an auditor, he's working 70-plus hour work weeks, so shout out to him as well for putting in those long hours at work. Hopefully he can get his promotion soon. Thank you guys for the broadcast. Thanks for my folks watching at home and anyone else who is watching the broadcast as well.
All right, well, congratulations there on the second place finish. You did a very good job with the strategy calls today and ran a very solid race, so congrats on that.
Yep, thank you.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, driver of the night, Ross Brockman, our winner for tonight, with an unbelievable fuel-saving call. I mean, I cannot believe that you made it that far.
For sure. I mean, I've always wanted to win one of these things on fuel mileage, and I've always had the clutch set up ready to do it. And man, I can't believe I was able to make it. I thought, I was looking at 46, 47 laps was probably what you'd need to go if you wanted to, run hard the whole time. So when we got that last caution there, and I knew that a lot of those guys were going to stay out just because they had just pitted, I knew that this is our opportunity to save and at least try to go for a win. I mean, as much as I thought I was a top 10 speed tonight, but just didn't think that I'd have a chance to win unless I did that. So started clutching it, and I cannot believe it. It's unbelievable. I'm still freaking out. Unbelievable.
I mean, you tried the last to first challenge as literally as you could probably try and do it. 41st starting position to a victory. I mean, what was the night like for you going all the way from the back to the front of the field?
Yeah, I think, so this is year 2 for me or it's season 2 for me in Great Lakes trucks. And I feel that what I've learned is that there's a little bit of craziness sometimes at the starts, but then it does tend to go green at times. And sometimes I'm in a position I felt like going in tonight that I wanted to be smart and make sure that we had a chance to at least finish top 10, top 15. And I thought my best opportunity for that was to start in the back. And I've done that a lot in this league and had chances to win. And obviously tonight it worked great too. It gave me an opportunity to save some fuel early, see kind of what my fuel numbers were going to be. I mean, I will say out of the 150 laps, there was probably more laps that I was saving fuel than burning it. And it just was unbelievable to come out this at the end. And I got 2 timely cautions that perfectly helped me keep track position, keep tires on the truck. Gave me an opportunity to just have a huge gap to then save to make it to the checkered flag, which I can't believe it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, those fortunately timed cautions were exactly what you needed to make your way to the finish of this race and eventually make it as the winner of the race. I mean, congratulations on that. Who do you have to thank for that? Because that's a phenomenal performance running a 52 lap stint in the 52 truck.
Yeah, it's thank you guys. Thank you for broadcasting. This is amazing. I'm so excited to get this done, get this checked off so we can go to the playoffs and race hard. I want to thank so long story, I'll try to be quick, but my teammate Kyle tonight tried qualifying. He just got knocked out of the top 25 last week and had to qualify this week and just missed it and by 1 spot. And it's too bad because I think he would have definitely had top 20 speed tonight. But it was a blessing in disguise because he was the spotter tonight, called out the gaps to everybody throughout that last run there that helped me save enough to get to the end. So, I mean, I would not have won without Kyle. So I thanks to him. Thanks to I got a handful of sponsors. A new one just jumped on this week. Method Organization Company, so awesome. Thanks Tom for jumping on. Piney Cattle Company, iPops and myipops.com. I know my family, a large portion of them are actually in Nashville right now. I have family down there, so it's kind of cool to win here. I know they're watching, and I thank them for watching. But can't believe it. We're going to the playoffs, and we won Nashville. Awesome.
Fantastic race, fantastic finish, and a phenomenal strategy call from you, Ross Brockman. Congratulations tonight. That was a great victory and definitely a phenomenal call there at the finish to get the victory. So thank you for coming in to talk to us.
For sure. And I can't wait. Next week I'm going to Talladega. Got to defend my win there.
Doing our job for us. Thank you, Ross Brockman.
Ladies and gentlemen, as he said, Kyle, next week is Talladega. I mean, what are your thoughts on that one? That one's going to be wild.
Well, it's going to be more than wild. Around halfway through the season here, and yeah, it's going to be crazy at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. That's going to be a show to see for sure. Before we let you go, we're going to go into the race results real quick here. Just cover some notables here for you. Ross Brockman, of course, able to win the race on fuel strategy, and Heller comes home second. Bronson Stafford was able to drive back up to third. Elliot Henderson and Jake Miller round out your top 5. You got Josh Caudle, Nathan Nicholson, Matthew Rodriguez, Shane Neiswanger, and William Barbagellata rounding out your top 10. Onto the next slide, you have Mike Tellier coming home 11th. Hunter Madalinas with a fairly quiet day in 13th. Zachary Henry back here in 14th. RJ Williams led the most laps, came home in 16th. And Jordan Gonzalez, after a pretty good start to the season, not the best day for him, coming home in the 20th spot in the number 3 machine. And on to the next slide here, we have Michael Madden, who looked pretty strong early on, made a phenomenal save here today at Nashville Superspeedway, but came home 21st. You got Gavin Fitzgerald in 22nd. Ashton Lawson, after some late troubles, same thing with Daniel Nanny, after some late troubles, ended up finishing 23rd and 24th. You got Aiden DuPont back here in 27th. Nick Martin back here. Justin Benda comes home 29th. Onto the final slide here. Well, actually, no, two slides. Onto the next slide. You got Briar Fritz with a fairly quiet night in 31st. You got Hunter Brittle back here in 33rd position. Matthew Durr coming home in 39th. Roman Gephardt rounding out the top 40, finishing 74 laps down. And then onto your final slide, or final 3 finishers. You got Kevin Watler, Robert Kenny, and Michael Sensi rounding out the field here tonight. A very good race here. A lot of green flag laps here, Alex, and end up coming down to fuel strategy at the very end.
Yep, that caution really made things very, very crazy tonight. I mean, the fact that we got a fuel mileage finish here at Nashville Superspeedway, I was not expecting that tonight, but I was definitely happy to see it.
And definitely a good show these drivers put on tonight, and I always enjoy to see some strategy at the end of these races. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast of the Great Lakes Truck Series presented by Patti Engineering. I would like to once again congratulate Ross Brockman on his great victory here today at Nashville Superspeedway. And you heard it earlier, next week, tell your friends, we're going to be at Talladega Superspeedway for some 3-wide action, some craziness here in the trucks. I'm expecting a full field, a full 43-car field next week, and a lot of craziness will happen there. Alex, any last words before I say goodbye?
The last words are, remember to tune in next week tonight, same time, Tuesday at 8 p.m. for Talladega, because that is definitely going to be a show here in this series.
We appreciate you sticking with the broadcast here on the Flatout Racing Network. We will see you next Tuesday for more Great Lakes Series action here in the Truck Series. We'll be at Talladega. Good night, everybody. And once again, congratulations to Ross Brockman on his victory tonight at Nashville.